Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this NFL New Year's Eve. It's lovely to have you. I guess New Year's Day is technically the correct way to phrase it. Either way, happy to have you guys in for another episode of the show. We are just about to the 2-minute warning. Kansas City Chiefs have just received a punt from the Detroit Lions. It will be Chiefs ball at the 2-minute warning, 2:02 on the clock right now. And so we figured we'd pop on now, get through the primetime show in an efficient fashion, get you guys back in time to start the second half of Lions and Chiefs. Tonight, we are going to talk about the idea of it being Derrick Henry's last dance, potentially, right? We have no idea whether the Tennessee Titans are going to keep Derrick Henry beyond this year or let his contract expire. We have an entire season to play out in between now and then. But given that Derrick Henry is in an expiring contract situation, I do think it's worth talking about the idea of a potential last ride for Derrick and what that might look like from a season expectation standpoint. We'll talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, which is, of course, where you need to share this broadcast around. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen is where you do so. Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We would be grateful for you, as always, if you would be so kind as to do that. Once you've done that, more people, it's just gone to the 2-minute warning commercial. We'll have more people trickle in. We'll keep you guys entertained and keep you guys updated through the 2-minute warning. And, through the end of the first half and through halftime before the second half begins. Just enough time for us to talk about Derrick Henry's past, present, and potentially future. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. If you're new to the show, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the fine people at Zen Sports. Plug in the promo code ATOZTN. When you download the Zen Sports app, you can now bet on the NFL officially. With football beginning in 2023, Zen Sports is your place to do so. We'll tell you more about their cashback offer later on in the show. The law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Wherever justice demands, that's where Amanda J. goes to serve you. She's protecting your constitutional rights at AmandaJGentry.com. And True Math Fitness in the Gulch, the best workout in Middle Tennessee, is True Math Fitness. TrueMathFitness.com is where you go for your first workout free. So we have football on the televisions. We are watching the Chiefs and the Lions. Lions looking pretty good beyond the turnover. Patrick Mahomes doing some pretty incredible things already to keep the Chiefs in this game without Chris Jones and without Travis Kelce. Looking at what we have, though, for the future of the Tennessee Titans in 2023, the season that is in front of us, there is the potential that this is Derrick Henry's last season with the Tennessee Titans. I don't know that they won't try and extend him or re-sign him at the end of the year. I don't know that they won't let him walk into free agency and run this thing into the ground. But with a season ahead of us and Derrick Henry in an expiring contract situation, it is worth discussing whether or not this may actually be Derrick Henry's last dance with the Titans. So I want to talk about season expectations for him on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. In the comment section, it's your Two Rivers Ford take. What are your season expectations for Derrick Henry heading into 2023? We'll talk about it together. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, as I mentioned, right after I remind you that the Two Rivers Ford take is presented by Two Rivers Ford, as Patrick Mahomes is incomplete deep pass up the left sideline on 1st and 10, a minute 48 left to play. Two Rivers Ford is always available for you. 40 years available to you as the best car buying experience around. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Your Two Rivers Ford take is this. What are your season expectations for Derrick Henry? Corey D. Jackson says, sight unseen, extend the king. And this is going to be a popular opinion. A lot of people are going to be interested in keeping Derrick Henry around as long as he wants to keep playing football. We also understand that the running back marketplace is in a very complicated spot. Derrick Henry has never had less open market value than he will heading into free agency if he makes it to free agency. He is not more valuable to any team than he is to the Tennessee Titans. We know this. Now, I think that a deal can be had with Derrick Henry. I think that there's good reason to believe that Derrick Henry is going to maintain his level of productivity. I think that there is good reason to expect that Tajay Spears will help take a little bit of the burden off Derrick Henry. I think in a perfect world. I personally would like to see them keep Derrick Henry beyond 2023 if, if they can continue to fortify a roster around him. I think that Derrick can still be a valuable asset for the Titans, but 2023 has yet to play out. So what are your season expectations for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch? We will talk about it together. 1,350 yards for Edward Hayford, 10 touchdowns on the year. Stephen King says all of them to the left side. Shane Luterlow, forgive me if I've mispronounced it, Shane, says cleaning up the fumbles. Fumbles, a big part of Derrick Henry's struggles last year. Didn't have many struggles beyond the fumbles, right? Derrick Henry had a productive season, even though his efficiency was way down because the offensive line play in front of him struggled. And by the way, Derrick got caught from behind a lot more than we're used to seeing Derrick get caught from behind. That's, nobody's going to deny that. Derrick wouldn't deny that, right? That happened more often than we expected. And when he got caught from behind, it's like he wasn't expecting somebody to be there, which is how many of those fumbles happen. You get punched out, don't see the defender or don't feel the defender behind you. All of a sudden, Derrick Henry is turnover prone, and that's not something that you would ever associate Derrick Henry with across the course of his career. Alton Hood says the King is an anomaly. I agree. Alton goes on to say he has more tread on the tires, 1,500 yards this season. For Elizabeth George, he says 1,250. Eric Alonso thinks he's going to have his second most productive rushing season ever with 1,800 yards behind an offensive line that is suspect at best. I am going to let you hear from Derrick Henry here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by Zen Sports. Go to Zen Sports in your favorite mobile app and make sure you get in on all the action, whether you bet the Chiefs and the Lions tonight or any of the NFL slate that remains in front of us. Zen Sports is changing the game with their cash rewards program as Mahomes and this offense drive across the 50-yard line into Lions territory, 40 seconds on the clock, and a deep completion down the field to number 84, who he has found early and often. And now with 37 seconds left in the half, it looks like Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to take the lead, if not a field goal, if not a touchdown, at least a field goal. Either way, Zen Sports has the best offer for you. When you plug in that promo code ATOZTN, you earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for the first 15 days of betting. It's wild. 5% is a great offer. What are you waiting for? Stop wasting time and money on other sports books when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Mahomes passes to 81, touchdown Chiefs for at least, for the time being, a 13-7 lead. You could have bet number 81 Bell, the Oklahoma legend. I can't remember 81 Bell's name, but I know he played at Oklahoma. I know he had a good career at Oklahoma. Either way, tight end scoring that are not named Kelsey. You could have bet that in the Zen Sports app. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up to bet in Tennessee. So, as you we'll talk about Chiefs and Lions, who you got once we get to halftime here in just a moment. Right after I remind you, do I have fuzz in my beard? Bert, where do you see the fuzz in my beard? There's no way. Bert told me 2 minutes ago that I have fuzz in my beard and I physically can't see it. It's probably what remains of, it's probably some Frank and Leo hair that's floating around in the ether that I might have swiped off my desk as we started. Either way, we are talking about Derrick Henry and his last dance, if potentially this is his last dance. I think that when you look at Derrick Henry's situation, my expectation is I think that Derrick Henry will have over 1,000 yards. I think that's and it may sound like I'm lowballing him, but here's the thing that I hope. I hope Derrick Henry has fewer rushing yards this year than he typically does, because I think that the beard is the fuzz, says Mr. Jones. Yeah, I'm getting gray spots. I think that for Derrick Henry, it would be ideal if they could lessen his burden and get Tajay Spears involved. He doesn't have to have 1,500 yards. I would like to see Derrick Henry have a lighter burden, even as statistically you like the idea of Derrick Henry rushing for 2,000 yards or 1,800 yards or 1,500 yards. And he can still do that, right? He's still the most durable running back that's been around in the modern era. 17 games, 1,000 yards equals nothing, says Puka. Somewhere between like 1,200, 1,000 and 1,250. I'm fine with him having a lighter workload if they want to keep him around. Now, they can run him into the ground. You remember DeMarco Murray in his last year with the Cowboys, where Jerry Jones has said, well, you know what? We're not going to pay him, so let's just ride him. And that's exactly what they did. Now, the Titans got a couple of good years out of DeMarco Murray, one really good year out of DeMarco Murray, and then things started to fray. Mr. Jones says, it's because I'm a Derrick hater. No, you dope. It's because I am in favor of keeping Derrick around in the long term. You misunderstand me, or you might have misunderstood me. You might not care. Either way, that is not a narrative that I support, because my argument is to lessen Derrick's burden to make him more sustainable. Derrick is, at some point, I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know how, but at some point, Derrick Henry is going to cease being Derrick Henry, right? That happens to all professional athletes. It's going to happen to DeAndre Hopkins. It happened to Tom Brady. It didn't happen quite to the extent to Tom Brady that it did to Peyton Manning, but it happens to all of these guys. And so if you want to keep Derrick Henry around, it can't be 350 carries a season. It just can't be. It can't be. Just because he continues to do it doesn't mean that he should have to. And I think that for Derrick Henry, he is somebody who I would like to see have a lighter workload. I would like to see him be prolonged. I would like to see him stay with the Titans, because I know that's what he wants. And I know that you would want it. Many of you would want it. Most of you would want it. And I'm sure a reasonable deal could be struck when they have all kinds of money to work with next year. Derrick Henry, I don't think it needs to be his last dance with Tennessee, even though he is in an expiring contract situation. But the idea that you can't prolong this man's career by lessening his workload, my season expectations, my hope, I won't give you season expectations because I don't know what to expect, but I will give you my hope for the season is that Derrick Henry is somewhere between, let's say 1,000 and 1,250 rushing yards. And it's not because of injury. It's not because of a drop-off. It's because they've used Tajay Spears and figured out that they don't have to do everything through Derrick Henry. Let's talk about who you got in the second half, as they have just kicked off with 34 seconds left on the clock. 14-7. Chiefs is the score. Goff is going to, he's got 2 timeouts, so we'll see if they can't get anything done here before the half ends. But who you got in the second half of this 2023 season opener? Chiefs or Lions? We'll discuss at length together right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. They go wherever justice demands, because you need them to. You need your constitutional rights protected, and they understand the value of that. They understand the value of educating you about your constitutional rights. You may be unaware. Many of us are. If you are not well-versed in constitutional law, it is not your fault. It just means that you need help. You need help from the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. AmandaJGentry.com is where you go. So who you got? Lions or Chiefs? Now, Patrick Mahomes is tough to bet against, and certainly heading into half with the lead, I would think that people would still feel strongly about taking the defending Super Bowl champions. Ant Hill says Detroit can't stop Patrick. It certainly doesn't seem so. Nate's Burner says Lion Simps punching the air right now. It's the Lions, you fruitcakes. I don't know what that means. Oh, because they're the Lions and because they choke, because they historically underwhelm. Here's what I'll say though, thus far, Goff is being the thing that I like the most about the Lions, especially on offense, is that, Ben Johnson may be a good offensive coordinator. He is a good offensive coordinator. But the best thing about Detroit is their offensive line. Goff isn't getting touched, really. He's gotten sacked once tonight. He's seen a little bit of pressure, but for the most part, Detroit has kept him upright, and it's allowed him to stand strong in the pocket and deliver on some of these throws that the offense is creating the opportunities for. So, the fumble by Detroit was poor. I ultimately don't think they come out victorious in this game, and it's not just because Kansas City's already in the lead. I just, it's tough for me to take anybody over Patrick Mahomes, no matter what. The Chris Jones element of this is funny because he's in attendance in a suite at the stadium right now, watching his teammates struggle to get an interior rush as Jared Goff, who has already gone through those 2 timeouts, tries to get his team to the line with 9 seconds left. They're spiking it here on 2nd down, and it looks like they will attempt a Hail Mary, spiked it on 1st down, now 2nd and 10. So we'll see if they don't try to Hail Mary it with 7 seconds left on the clock. But I think that Detroit is a fun team. I think that Detroit, as a playoff team this year, is an acceptable thought process to have. I think that they need to iron out issues on their defense. They need to be a more consistent defense than they were a year ago for me to be, to have real confidence in them. But I do think that Detroit has something right now. And coming off a season where they won 9 wins, why not? Why not the Lions? Not tonight. No, why not the Lions tonight? Because Patrick Mahomes, as they will attempt this Hail Mary here. Goff back to pass, lets it loose, and cannot find, who is that? That's Marvin Jones on the sideline to try and stop the clock again by getting out of bounds. 5 seconds left. Looks like they're going to have to actually Hail Mary it instead of just having him run an out route and screaming to the sidelines. All right, so who you got? Most of us are going to say Chiefs, I think. Right now, most of us are looking at the Chiefs and saying Travis Kelce will eventually be back, and Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback. Their offensive line is good. Their defense will miss Chris Jones while he's out, but thus far, they're still able to get a fair amount of pressure. 5 seconds left on the clock. Let's see if they can't do this here live on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Ball is snapped. Goff lets it go. Pass is batted down by George Karlaftis. 3 seconds left, and now it's 4th and 10, so they will likely just punt. So I think Chiefs probably the pick tonight. If you're betting second halves, it looks like Chiefs is the safe bet. But we will, we're just happy to have football back in our lives. And certainly, I know I will be happy to get down to New Orleans, flying down to New Orleans on Saturday. I'm fired up about it. It's going to be a great time. We got a lot of exciting things planned, a lot of exciting food plans specifically, which is unfortunate because I'm doing really good on my maintaining my weight loss. Staying under 200 pounds, but I have to get in a suit on Sunday. And if I'm loading myself up on seafood on Saturday, as I plan to, that may be a more difficult proposition than we all realize. Halftime for the Chiefs and the Lions, 14-7, the lead for Kansas City at home. Who needs to bounce back most in sports? Lines up perfectly for us to do our final segment. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Who needs to bounce back most? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMavFitness.com. Get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident, and you will be grateful that you did. Nobody put you in a better position to succeed. The best workout is TrueMav Fitness. The best coaching staff is TrueMav Fitness. The best place to get a sweat in and do it efficiently within the time frame that you need it, whether you're working out early in the morning, in the afternoon, on your lunch break, or at night. TrueMav Fitness is always there for you. Your first class is free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMavFitness.com. Matt Drew says he's already in Lafayette, Louisiana. Well, I don't know if you're like driving there, Matt, or if you're based out of Lafayette. But I'm looking forward to, I don't think I've ever been in the state of Louisiana for any particular reason. Don't think I've ever been to the New Orleans airport. Certainly never been out of the airport if I have been to the airport, but I can't think of a time when I've been to the state. So I have a checklist of stadiums that I've been to that New Orleans is not on. I need to double check how many stadiums I have left. I don't think it's that many across 7 years. I think that when you look at the bounce back candidates for this week, I think there's a couple that come to mind. First and foremost is Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster is a bounce back candidate for the New England Patriots is top of mind because this report from Albert Breer, who is not hyperbolic, not inflammatory, a credible reporter and based out of Boston, listen to what he says about Juju Smith-Schuster's health.
And then at receiver, the underrated story here, Juju Smith-Schuster's knee is a mess. And that thing could explode at any point. And so you almost have to keep an extra receiver because of that. So I just look at all of this and it's where are you going to find the spot for the extra kicker?
The receiver spot. How many receivers are they going to keep, Greg? And how many actual bona fide NFL receivers do they have on the team?
So if Juju is healthy, they have 3. Devontae Parker, Juju, and Kendrick Bourne. They really like Demario Douglas. They really like Kayshon Boutte. Tyquan Thornton, I don't know whether he's going to have to go on IR or not, but I think they keep 6 as of right now.
Okay, but the bottom 3 are all sort of potential flyer kind of guys who we're all sort of intrigued by, and there's some upside there with those guys. But that's going to fill out your receiver depth chart.
You lose one of the top 3, all of a sudden, two rookies and a second-round pick who hasn't played or practiced at all is in there.
Are any of those 3 guys really, really ready?
Probably not. Pop Douglas is close.
It seems like Pop Douglas made the team pretty early in camp to the point where it's okay, if you're not throwing him out there in preseason games and getting him reps, you feel pretty good about his readiness, so he'd be the one.
Okay, so you still think there's a chance there's some move around the league for the Pats?
Yeah, I would keep an eye on the potential that they trade for a tight end. I think that that's on the radar.
And I think wide receiver is possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me anything more, Bert?
There are a couple of guys that I think that are look at teams that have had coaching changes the last couple of years. There are a couple names.
Okay, why do I feel like you're holding out on us? What do you got?
Come on.
What are you hearing?
Got to protect his people. Leave him alone.
There's 20 seconds left in the show. I now got to start parsing through that.
So that's courtesy of NBC Sports Boston. That his knee is going to blow up is wild. Is a wild thing to say. Blow up at any point is something that Albert Breer said. And again, Albert Breer does not do hyperbole in his reporting. That's a credible journalist saying the knee is a mess. It could explode at any point. They need to keep extra wide receivers as a result, which just even further puts a spotlight on the Patriots for not upping the ante in a bidding situation with the Titans for the services of DeAndre Hopkins this summer. It's going to do it for us tonight. We're getting you back in plenty of time for the second half of Thursday night football, the kickoff of the 2023 season. And we're certainly grateful that you guys chose to spend a little bit of it with us. Hey, guys, when next we talk, it's going to be from the Superdome. I'm going to do the show live from the Superdome on Sunday night. It's going to be awesome. It's going to continue our string of doing the primetime show on the road from the opposing stadium. We'll have a Titans game to talk about when next we meet, and it's going to be badass. I will tell you, though, that the primetime show is going to air at 7 p.m. Central Time from New Orleans because my flight out of New Orleans is at 9:40 p.m. For me to get back to Nashville Sunday night. So in order for me to make my flight, we are going to do the primetime show early. And certainly we are going to be excited to cover a football game. Can't wait to get down there. Matt Drew says, I wish you'd have primetime on Friday too. It's called The Radio Show and it's 3 hours. It's 3 hours long. And also, by the way, 615 Sessions podcast during football season for those of you guys who are subscribers to the A to Z Sports Podcast Network, where we do the 615 Sessions. 615 Sessions during the season is on Fridays. It's on Fridays at 3 o'clock. So that will be something that you can look forward to. And again, you still have 4 more hours with me. And tomorrow, by the way, I'm bearing the lead. Matt Drew says, what's your radio show? Well, it's a very, very creatively named radio show. In fact, it's called The Buck Rising Show, and it's available wherever you get your podcast if you cannot get the FM radio signal outside of the Southeast. We do reach a good amount of area in the Southeast. Either way, doesn't matter. Ben Jones is going to be on the radio show for about an hour tomorrow. Coach Dave McGinnis is going to be there as well. Ben Jones is going to break down the Saints defense. He's played them a bunch of times in his career. Coach Mack is going to break down the Saints offense as a defensive-minded coach, a former linebackers coach and former head coach himself. We're going to do it during the 11 o'clock hour. It's going to be great. Eric Castillo says Buck doesn't read comments on the radio, so just listen. That's not true. I read comments all the time. So apparently you don't listen well enough, Eric, to hear me read those comments. We don't do it as often because it's not a comment-driven show. But it's not like I don't read the comments whatsoever. It's just I got a million different things going on. I got phone calls. I got you guys in the comment section. I'm interviewing guests. I got Lucas. I got Bert running in the studio at times when Bert should not be running into the studio, causing havoc, wreaking havoc, and jump scaring me. All of these things. Be better at listening if you're not hearing, or make better comments. I think that's how it goes. Matt says, tell Ben Jones to come back. I mean, Ben, I think is Ben coming back mid-season, says Billy Jones. No, I don't. Well, I don't know. We can talk to Ben about where he's planning on playing football, if he's planning on I know he's planning on playing football, but I know that he had a bunch of surgery this offseason, so I don't think he'd be physically ready to play football just yet. But we'll talk to Ben tomorrow. We'll have Coach Dave McGinnis as well. We'll get you ready for the Titans and the Saints before I fly down to New Orleans. It will be a great time. It will be a great time. Yeah, I don't need to say anything more than that. That's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.